Good morning and welcome to Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekpo Temple, and it's that time of the day where we take you through the happenings in sports. And on the show this morning, Alcaraz suffers setback in the ongoing Madrid Open. Red Bull confirms the exit of design chief, and in football, Dortmund edge PSG in UEFA Champions League clash. Details of this and many more will be yours when we come back from this short time. Please don't go anywhere. This is Atlantic Television Network. Right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it is Sports Talk here, and it is a time where we look at happenings in sports and a lot to talk about. Let's start from some bit of table tennis this morning. Wife, of Aruna Quadri, Mrs. Ganiyat, was proud and extremely thrilled by her husband's, by the daughter taking on her husband's in a recent training section. Now, the dutiful mother uploaded a video of the event, and looked like a session on Instagram page which shows the youngster going toe-to-toe with her famed father. Quadri is currently ranked 19th in the world and represented the country at the Commonwealth and Olympic Games. Ganiyat is also involved in the games, in which was also a national team player, and Miriam, a typical chip of the old block, competed at the Contenders Series. Even though she didn't achieve a podium finish, at the price of $1,000 US, her participation therein underscore her meteoric rise and show how table tennis has become a family business of the Arunas. Miriam is also learning fast from both parents, which she buttressed with a video on her Instagram page that shows her receiving backhand lessons from her mother, and a lot continues there. I mean, it's lovely, very lovely when you get to see your daughter. I mean, when a family do have the heritage of moving on and achieving greater things, there is this inept joy, to move on. And I tell you for free that a lot has really gone down. But away from that, now we'll talk about other interesting stories, and this time we'll look at it from the prism of the Olympic Games, where Olympic prize money seems to be at the order of the day. A lot of people have already talked about it, and five-time Olympic champion Sir Steve Redgrave has won that paying prize money to athlete gold medalists at Paris 2024 Games will create and quote, between sports. It announced it in April would offer prize money at this summer's Olympic, the first sport in history to do so. Now, the winner of the 48 discipline will each receive $50,000 US. That's equivalent to £39,000, £400,000. Prize money will track and field event at this 2028 Games in Los Angeles, and of course, Reva, who is also a winner and came between 1984 and 2000, said, I quote, all those gold medalists in athletics are capable of earning significant money before and certainly after Paris. So the body will be giving money to people who already have it. The question of whether they have it or not, shouldn't even be a thing of discussion. This is a way of encouraging and also looking at what can be done to achieving success in tennis. And for me, if the Olympic Charter allows it, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. And some National Olympic Committee offer financial reward to their medalists, though the British Olympic Association does not. And that is where it looks like whether it's going to hold water. Well, it's not a status quo. A lot of teams are still going on whether they're going to achieve this or not, or whether they're going to do that. I know for sure that it's a matter of time, and certainly this will be achieved. But just as we're talking, we're saying some of the stories in sports. Emmanuel Michael just joins us now. And of course, we have to look at some of these trending stories coming out in sports. Mike, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Yeah, earlier we talked about a certain Aruna Quadri and what he's been able to do with the wife, Ganiyat, the daughter, uh, more like making it a family business now, you know, like practicing together just to ensure that the daughter takes on, you know, the feet of the father. And this is making, this is eliciting some reaction from the general public.
Yeah, for me, I think it's more like a chip of the old blocks. You know, the daughter taking after the mom and the dad because it looks as though this is a family that is, trained up in the tennis world, and they are not relenting in making sure that they impact this, gift and knowledge to their daughter as well. And this is, for me, very incredible because this is the way it is done in a more developed line where parents encourage their daughter or their son, whatever venture that they do to also support them. I think for me it's marvelous because if she gets to, learn this trade at a tender age, then imagine what would be of her destiny in the world of tennis when she gets to 15 or 20 or thereabouts. So for me, I think it's a massive one, and one that other parents out there need to also encourage because these days we just focus more on football and all of that because of the money, the fame and popularity that comes with it. So parents have also deemed it necessary to always tell their daughter or their son to go for football other than any other sport that for them they feel that is relatively unknown, and therefore you cannot make money and fame through that. But then over the years we've seen other sportsmen and women in different fields are away from football, explore their God-given talent. They've also made money for themselves, made fame and popularity for their family, make themselves and their family and their nation proud even. So for me, I think it's a great one to see Haruna Quadri and his wife also training alongside their daughter at a very tender age. I mean, the sky will just...
Gold medalists at Paris Olympic Games. Gold medalists at Paris Olympic Games will create, a situation between sports and then world athletics. Of course, that announcement was done some time ago, and I don't understand when he said that he to create some bit of animosity, between sports. I'm trying to. A lot of person think that since we've seen a lot of reaction elicited as a result of that.
For some of the athletes that is due to take part in the Paris Olympic game and beyond. I think for me, I'm very, very shocked and very surprised because, when you talk about the fact that maybe the athletic body and the athlete, they are going to get into schism because of this money issue, I try to fathom out how and why. If the athletic body have deemed it necessary to dish out such amount of money for their athletes who finish first, second, or third, I think for me it's more like an encouragement to some of the athletes out there. Don't forget that sometimes some of the
At the Madrid Open was scuttled by Andrei Rublev. It was not a day that ended well for him. The Russian tossed it, rallied from a set down in the quarterfinal, his 14-match winning streak in the Spanish capital. This is certainly not a good one for him. I followed that game a little bit, but surprisingly, I saw how he was leading. At some point in the first set, in the second set, game 3, I saw that he was trailing, but somehow it ended now in favor of Rublev. Rublev, lovely game displayed yesterday, and that's one thing about the top 10. But we'll talk about that. Let me get your thought on his achievement. Getting to All-Star this particular Carlos Alcaraz.
First, I must start with Alcaraz. I think for me, I was quite disappointed with the display of Carlos Alcaraz because, looking at his game when he was coming up through the rank, though still very much young, tennis lovers across the globe have always tipped him to be the new face of the ATP, even after a while coming up through the rank. But then I think for me, he has not been able to live up to that direction because now that Carlos Alcaraz has been own out there, because whenever their own is still very much around in a certain competition, it gives them that motivation to come out in their numbers to watch their own or to cheer their own rather to victory. But now that their own has been hosted out, I think more of the excitement from the home fans will be lost because of the fact that some of their home favorites new players bring to the table.
In the women's draw, defending champions, Aina Sabalenka breezed into the semi-finals with a straightforward win. They are 6-1, 6-4 win over Russian teenager Miran Andreeva. The Belarusian second did not face a break point against the 17-year-old. She will next play into the semi-finals and against Rebekina, who is also in very fine form. That looks like, but look at her feet. I'm not surprised that she was able to all-start the 17-year-old. A lot of person underrate Andreeva. Andreeva has really caused an upset, and she's gradually building her profile. But let's talk about Andreeva, the young lad. Finally, fairy tale run ends by this lady, who a lot of person expects.
Imperials in her display over the few months right now. Also now some of the big name, just like you said, her fairy tale run came to an end when meeting up against a much better opponent and a very strong and experienced. So congratulate her for putting up such an impressive feat. Getting to this point, I think, is not a mean feat. She was also giving her best. I believe it's time for her to go back and do self-appraisals and also correct some of the mistakes and come back very strong in a next competition out there. But then, I think for Zabalenka,
she leave the team in early 2025. Newey, regarded as one of the greatest designers in the history of Formula One, told the Red Bull last week he wanted to leave in the wake of the controversy involving allegations about team principal Christian Horner. And I mean, this certainly does not look good for them. But at the age of 65, getting one of the best, maybe, I'm sure he has also gotten an offer somewhere. When, I mean, a lot of people thrive in controversy. When there's a controversy in a place, you just see that a lot of things will happen. And don't be surprised. From next season, things will really change about Max Verstappen if things are not curbed or nipped in the bud.
Definitely. The father of Verstappen is also involved, is also embroiled with this, controversy that have rocked the Red Bull early this season, which for me, I think they need to settle that out so that it doesn't affect other major key players out there in the company, to ensure that they keep some of their top hand out there. One of the greatest designer in the Formula One for over 20 years right now, has been there, making it very big and making it very thick for the Red Bull. I think for me, it's going to be a great loss for them, because this has been he has been one of the backbone of the Red Bull designing formation over the years, and losing such an experienced hand definitely is going to affect them. Despite the controversy, it did not also affect Max Verstappen on the circuit either, because I think he has been very, very good also. But then I think for Christian Horner and the rest of the team member, that is also having, I don't know whether...
But one thing about it, I've noticed that in Formula One, you get to see, you get to see when a team is thriving, controversy erupts in, and if that is not taken care of, it breaks down. We saw what transpired between Lewis Hamilton when he won his 7th title, and then we saw the 2020, the 2020, event that plays out, that now resulted to the civil life, crisis and all that, and the fact that he stood for something that he belonged, and he believes, and a lot of reaction from there that distracted him, and from that distraction we saw how the emergence of Max Verstappen, and I mean, all they say is history. But that is one thing, and that's why I look at Formula One and say that whenever a champion is about coming down,
some of those big weight that is involved in this controversy, if it does not go down well with him, he might possibly tell his son to switch over to another company out, and many companies will be ready to welcome him because he is a champion. He knows his onions, then knows his quality and value. Therefore, I think they will be ready to bounce on him and get his signature. So for me, I just think that Red Bull should do everything possible to ensure that they nick this in the bud and not allow it to escalate, beyond what we've seen.
Escalate beyond what we have seen, and that takes us now to Football League. We are not a cherry news if you are a dead.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
Our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
To the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on ATN.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it is Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and it is time to look at football matters. Let's start from the Nigerian Women Football League. Not a cherry news, sipping out from the camp of the Delta Queens. As we hear that some of the players are really lamenting greatly, and there is a distress call from that quarter, saying that they are in dear need of help. Some of them have not been paid as reality sets into the eyes of the players, and that has really, brought some scourge that needs to be ameliorated if they must achieve something. We saw how they, in anonymity, express that they don't even feed before they train because of the backlog of allowances and salary not paid in few months that they've been owed. For me, I mean, this should not be coming from the from a side like Delta Queens when we saw them last season or the season before, how glorious they've been, even represented us to the level of Wafu. So for me, I think that this should not be coming out from Delta Queens.
Definitely not a cheering news, I must tell you. I think some of these players, they've go out there and given your 100%, and this is what they've been passing through. Some of these players, they have their own family need as well. Some of their family and siblings that depend on them as the breadwinner of the house or the family. But when this kind of issue begin to trickle in, then you begin to ask yourself, how do they survive? Not even to talk about their family and their relation and all of that. I think for me, it's not a good news at all, because if they don't get to the pitch and get a positive result, the same management will also blame them for not giving out their all. How do you want such a player to give out his or her all in the pitch where she is playing on an empty stomach, training on an empty stomach? How do you expect such player to give out her best? I think for me, it's quite disappointing, and these are issues that we don't, love to hear, because after paying the price, paying the dues, coming to training every day, going to match venues, you play a competitive game, not a friendly game. Even if it is a friendly game, you must have to eat something before you have the strength and energy to run for such a friendly game. But this is a professional game, professional body, and for me, I think it's not a very good news at all. That I think the Delta State government need to come to their aid and provide to them their necessary needs, so that they can also pounce on that and give out their all. Because for me, I think this is not a cheering news at all for the Delta State government and the management.
Okay, cheering news for the Delta State government and the management. And let's take us now to a round of 64 games played yesterday. So we'll review some of the game, and of course defending champions, Benda Insurance of Benin, have already done so well in terms of getting through. They qualified. They were able to defeat Stormers Sport Club of Abeokuta 1-0 to qualify to the round of 32 of this year's Federation Cup.
Yeah, good one. I think they've also catapulted themselves to round of 32, and that is a good one. If they can continue with this impressive form, I see them going all the way, possibly to the final, because we've seen them display some amount of seriousness, some amount of optimism, and from the players as well. It is very clear that indeed they are willing to take this fight to the end. Let's hope that they can continue to put their foot on the pedal and continue to throttle very hard, so that they can see if they will get to the final.
And of course, the story is, however, not same for Edo Queens. Edo State FA Cup runners in the Stars of Benin has exited the competition after losing to KB United 2-1. So, President Cup full results. Some of the games we saw yesterday: Aqua United defeated Sinajor FC 1-0, Shooting Stars 3-2. It looked like the way the competition we have seen in the MPFL would have also resulted to the way the MPFL teams are taking seriously the FA Cup against the NNL teams, even if they are few in numbers compared to the NNL teams.
Yeah, because some of the the NPFL teams that also find themselves in this position, some of them are out of the title race already. So the only hope for them to make it through the continent is to also ensure that they put in their all in this FA Cup to maybe possibly get to the final and win it. Because if you win it, then you rest assured that indeed you are going to the continent despite your position in the NPFL league, and that is why most of this NPFL team is not taking anything for granted. So they are putting their all, because it is a hope and a route for them to get to the continent, and that is why we've seen this level of competitiveness within the teams out there in the FA Cups.
And of course, a lot talking about what played at Nasarawa United defeated the FC Gbako 1-0, Kwara United 4, Rovers FC of Calabar 1, Sporting Supreme 3. We saw that one clearly there. And then we also saw Beyond Limit, played a wonderful job, lost to Hamola FC, 4-3 on penalty. Ikorodu City defeated the Green Barrets, the Slayers, that's last year, the 3-0. Benda Insurance were one better off than some I talked about that earlier, and then it continues today in some of the encounters we're going to see. So a lot of reaction games to be played today. The big boys will still be in action today, and Maybe we'll have more time to talk about that later on the show. But this result, truly, Gombe United were able to win Karim United 3-1, and of course that shows the supremacy of the MPFL team. Economy Warriors they also defeated Adimimogo FC 2-0. ABS of Plateau lost that particular one. 1-0 to Zamfara. Okay, 1-0 to Zamfara United, and the Wiki Tories 5-0 better off than the Gino Duban. That game will be continued today. But away from that, let's talk about some news popping up from the Glass House. We are newly appointed the coach of the Super Eagles, Finidi George. Has said that he will need the support of Nigerian Football Federation and soccer-loving Nigerians to succeed in his new assignment. This is the first time, obviously, he's making a speech after his appointment.
Definitely, and a very valid speech for that matter. He needs the support of other, teaming Nigerians out there. Then I think he's possibly going to succeed, because when we talk about support, what are we looking at? We are looking at NFF, calling players on camp very early, proper planning and preparation. Then again, allowing the coach himself, talking about Finidi George, to make his own team selection devoid of any NFF member interference or imposition of players. These are some of the support that Finidi George is talking about, because over the years, we've seen it that whenever any home-based coach is appointed in a very critical or in a very sensitive position in the Nigerian national team, then the NFF tend to, always superimpose their own ideas and opinion upon such person. But it's only on few cases where we did not see that happen. Maybe during the era of Stephen Keshi, the big boss, then because of his influence and because of his stand to do what is right, they were unable to get the better of him. But then successive coaches, most time they tend to, play to the gallery, try to use the, brain of the national team coach. And for me, if they do that at this point in time, it's going to be a boomerang to us, because it will also affect our World Cup, qualification. If he did not allow NFF know the reason why they had to appoint Finidi George, and having seen that NFF has made their choice, what we need to do at this point in time is to give Finidi George the needed support to ensure that he excels, because I think he has a very, very big task ahead of him, qualifying us for the World Cup. Already we are seated in third in our group out there, and we need to play South Africa and the rest of the team. So for me, I think he needs our prayers, he needs our support, and most importantly, the support of the NFF to ensure that he succeeds in this enormous task.
Yes, support of the NFF, of course, is really, really needed if the new appointed coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Finidi George, will excel. But away from that, let's talk about other important issues. And this time around, we'll move now to the Saudi Pro League, where Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice as Al Nassr beat Khalij, 3-1 in that game yesterday in the Kings Cup of Champions semi-final. And getting to see him at least score at this point now, when he scores, whenever he scores, it's historic for him, not just about the club he's playing for, but the fact that he continues to score goals is really, really something. And of course, he has also the image rights that he controls there is such that whatever he does there always makes news, and you won't be surprised that he really celebrated it like, but then you look at it like, is he Saudi Pro League? But you cannot take anything for granted.
Yeah, I think the Saudi Pro League, they've actually improved a lot, over the years, because of the money that they've actually pumped into the Saudi Pro League to ensure that at least they meet up with other, the standard of the main European teams such as England, Spain, Germany and the rest of it. I think for me, for Cristiano Ronaldo, he continued to set record and continue to break record and set more. I think for me, it's a very historic goal for him, and that is why he's celebrated. Though, because of the charges level against him, in few weeks, because of his behavior, he was unable to play some of the major game out there in the last few weeks. But then he bounces back with a bang, delivered on a big stage, and this is what Cristiano Ronaldo loves to do, scoring the goals, because for me, he is a goal machine. He has proven that over the years, and he continued to bang in the goals. It's a great one for him, and also a great one for his fans out there, and the sport, football supporters all across the globe, because anytime he gets to score a goal, then the media would definitely hype him, because it's not just scoring the goal, just like you said. Any other player can score goals and nothing happens. All the whole euphoria will not be around him or her. But then whenever Cristiano Ronaldo scores goal, it's about history making this time around, because something significant is attached to such goal, and that is why he's being celebrated across the globe. So for me, I think it's a good one. But then, having progressed through this stage, I think the next round is even more tougher for them, because they will be meeting with Al Hilal, who also is a very strong side, dominating their league there for this season. So for me, I think he should also reserve some of this goal against their next opponent, who will definitely be a hard nut to crack for them.
Hard not to crack for them, and let's see how that goes. But let's move to mainstream Europe now, where La Liga side Barca reports suggest that they're intending to sell 8 key players during this summer transfer window to improve their financial situation.
Very, very disappointing, very appalling at this point in time, where, Javi Hernandez will be willing to even keep some of these key players, but because of their financial incapacity this season, they've deemed it necessary to offload 8 of their key players, not just French players, but key players in quote. The likes of Christensen, the likes of Jun Koundé, Araujo. These are their key players, and for me, it's going to be a disappointing one. But then they are trying to balance their book. They are trying to at least also get some money to see if they can be able to also move from the financial predicament that they find themselves right now. Not a good one, but then I think I'm very much confident that the Barca team will definitely churn out other players that is going to replace this one, because the La Masia Academy is one of the most talked about across the globe, and they produce good players over the years, likes of even the Javi Hernandez himself, likes of Andres Iniesta, Lionel Messi. They also came through this rank. This season alone, we've seen this same Javi, going to the academy, the La Masia, to bring in the likes of Kubasi, Gavi, Pedri, likes of Yamin Lamar. So I think for me, it's not going to affect them that much, because they have a functional and a very reliable football academy out there, talking about the La Masia, that is going to also be called into the first team and also prove their own worth as well in the big stage. But then one thing is very sure, that is definitely not a good one for Barcelona, because I expected them to keep the bulk of these players and allow Xavi. Hence, he has changed his mind and determined to stay again. I would have loved him to work with these players that he has been working with.
Yeah, that would have built understanding and consistency on their part.
Yes, because going back to the academy to bring in other young lads, now you need to start afresh again, to start taking them through, though most of them are already acquainted with the club philosophy, but then you have to take them through the A and B of what it means to play the first team out there, and that is more work for Javi Hernandez to do out there. It would have been a good one if some of these players is retained and allow him to continue to be from there. But then, looking at their financial situation right now, it's a very bad position that they find themselves, that their hands are very tight. The only option is to sell some of these key players.
To sell some of these key players, but let's see how it all goes. And of course, time is not our friend. Let's wrap up this morning as we move now to the UEFA Champions League, where we saw the first game yesterday at the Signal Iduna Park, where Niklas Fulkrug